Hello, Daniel. Hi, Maria. That's all I see, so hello.
Hello.
Oh, I see Ming too. Hi, Ming. Sorry,
Hi.
I didn't see you until now. I didn't see your beautiful face.
So tell us about your life, Dr. Bryant.
Got it. Are we ready to rock and roll?
Sure.
Perfect. I first want to thank you all for even having me on and allowing me to speak to you and share my story and be in the presence of your beautiful energy and your journey, because we all have one. And so to be able to commingle and synergize with each other at the heart space, to me, is the most wealthiest thing you can do. I always say that you connect with people at the heart space, because when you connect with them at the mind space only, when the thought goes, there you go. But when you connect at the heart space, you have a friend for life. So my intent is for us to all be able to connect at the heart space. As I just share some things that have really worked for me in my life and in my road, from where I came from, very humble beginnings. And we're going to touch on three tools that I'm going to provide today. They are the importance of a healthy mindset, because we manifest our mindset. So you want to know what you've been thinking or what you've been feeling, just look at your world around you. That's your mindset, right? The second one will be the power of choice, which is something we sometimes often don't use because we forget that we have it, because life can do things and show up in ways that make us feel like we have to receive what it gives us. But we have a thing called choice, and I want to talk about that. And last but most importantly, I want to talk about self-care and self-love, because we give to people who we are. And who we are is created once we become thinking and insightful adults. Who we are is created by what we feed ourselves and the self love and self care that we give ourselves. Because we only can give who we are, and we only create who we are. So we can teach anything, but we will only create who we are. Okay. And so, just a little background about myself. I grew up in the inner city, which, is the hood, for most people and for us. And I grew up to two teenage parents, 16 and 17-year-old mom and dad, Darren and Kim. And they were obviously too young to fully raise me. And so my grandparents were uh, amazing enough and had the heart space enough to step in and say, hey, guess what? We won't only help, but we'll raise this little girl that you all planned so beautifully, but didn't understand the tools it would take to raise a child while you're still a child. And so I am a product of parents who were kids trying to figure it out. I think they did a great job of trying to figure it out, but of course that's probably subjective, and it could be because I've done so much healing in my own world, and I've healed so much of my own trauma and so much of my own broken pieces, that I think I know my perception has shifted so that I can see my narrative in a way that is positive, in a way that works and serves me and serves other people who I'm sharing it with. Okay. And so I grew up a little girl, oldest of seven. And when I was growing up, I didn't have anyone who was older than me, who I could look up to, who I, wanted to be like. It was just me for about 10 years. And then here came all the other kids. And honestly, I didn't want any siblings. I liked being the only child. I liked getting all the attention. And I liked having my parents and grandparents all to myself. And I was actually very upset with my father when he said he was having my little sister. I told him, why would you have another girl out of all kids? Why do you need another girl, right? Am I not enough? Like, I'm all you need right here. And it took me years, you guys. When I say years, I mean almost 15 years or so, to really come around to accepting my little sister, who was just a sweet little girl who loved me, loved having a big sister. And took me so long to acclimate to that. But so I, again, didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anyone that I can look at and I can shadow. I can look at and say, this is who I want to be like. This is how I want to show up. So what did I do? I end up becoming very resourceful, because when you are in trauma, or you are in dysfunction, or when the environment around you is not safe, okay, we tend to find things that give us resources to survive in that environment. And so the resource for me, right, was finding the things that I did not want to be like, finding the things that I knew I didn't want to become, because there are certain things in my environment I didn't want to become a product of. Because as we all know, we are a product of our environment, and our environment will change us before we change it. Let me say that again. Our environment will change us before we change it. So what does that mean? That we have to be very aware of our environment, very aware of the product that that environment that you are in creates. And you ask yourself, do I want to become that product of that environment? If it's yes, then you stay there, you wallow there, you nest there, you plant there, and you nurture that seed right there. If the answer is no, you get out of there and get out of there quick, because it doesn't take long before an environment changes you. And every seed that's planted does grow, good or bad. And so your environment is planting seeds in you. And in that environment, if it's planting seeds, it will grow in you. And this is the trick. Sometimes it doesn't, most of the time, it does not grow in you within the next, say, year or 2 years or 6 months, where you can go, oh, that's that seed from this environment. It grows in you when you go from that little abandoned or neglected or toxic or dysfunction child to that now abandoned adult woman or man. And you are now trying to thrive in the world. And everything about your trauma and everything about your dysfunction reminds you of how you've never learned to thrive and how all you've known was survival. And that's when things kick in, and you start to then start to take a self inventory of, wait a minute, why am I doing well in all these areas? Why have I maybe now got my education? Why have I now started to do things that have outgrown a lot of my family tradition? Why do I feel like I have broken a lot of generational curses, but for some reason I'm still in survival mode? I'm still in survival mode. When you get to that space, you start to take a self inventory. And those stages look like this. First, you say, is something wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? How come it looks like I'm the only person that's attempting to survive and I can't succeed internally, but externally things are looking good? Or you even may look externally and say, why do I only have this when I feel like I should have so much more? How come I can't seem to enjoy and find joy in all of the things that I have? When you get to that place, you start to look at and take inventory of what's going on with you. And when you take inventory, you look, seek, and thou shalt find. Knock, and the door will open. So whatever you're seeking is seeking you. You're seeking to figure out what you have going on or what you did wrong. Well, guess what? That pain or those answers are seeking you as well. And so what I did was I looked at the things that I didn't want to be like, and I made a commitment to myself, and I made a commitment to God, and I respect everyone's higher being or everyone's source. And for me, it's God. So I made a commitment to myself, and I made a commitment to God, and I said, I refuse to be like this, and like this, and like that. I said, God, I don't see what I want to be like yet, but I do see what I don't want to be like. And so by seeing what I don't want to be like, I actually, I put on my track shoes, and I'm sorry, there's a real loud, okay, it's off. I put on my track shoes, and it wasn't me running to what I wanted, you guys. I was running as far away from what I didn't want. And so why am I telling you that? Because I want to express to you that oftentimes and sometimes in our adulthood, we don't know what we're running to. We don't know what we want. We don't know what it looks like, but we dang sure know what we don't want. We dang sure know what we don't want it to look like. And so when you get in that space of saying, how come I don't have the vision clear? How come the vision is not clear and it's not plain? I can't see what I want with my career. I can't fully see how I want to build out my family. I can't fully see the man or woman I want to transition into. If you can't do that, the only reason why you know you want to move from where you're at is because you don't want to be where you are. So find the things that you can run away from and run as fast as you can. And I always say I started running as a young girl, maybe about 5 or 6, away from what I didn't want. And one thing I always tell people when I speak is I truly still have on my sneakers, and I have not stopped running. And I don't plan to ever stop running, because that was the best run I've ever taken in my entire life, because when I ran, it landed me to the things I didn't know I wanted. I didn't know I wanted to become a doctor in the field of psychology and help change thousands of lives. I didn't know that I wanted to be able to help people with their mental health and help people take their broken pieces and make peace from it. I didn't know that until life had its way with me. But I knew where I was running from, and I trusted the process. I trusted myself, and I trusted what I'm anchored in, what I believe in. And for me, again, that's God. And it got me to where I'm at. And I have to say, I have not arrived once. I've arrived over and over and over and over again because I have not taken my shoes off. And so for me, it may be my track shoes or sometimes my high heels that I'm running and not stopping and running from. You have to find what is it that inspires you? What is it that motivates you? What is it that feeds you to continue to run to where you don't know you want to be? But every time you do that thing that inspires you, every time you do that thing that you believe in, it gets you to home plate. It gets you to the end zone. Whatever that thing is, I'm going to offer homework that when you find it, if you find it off this call, or if you find it in a week, that you write it down, because that will be the thing that tells you what your norm is. It tells you what is needed to feed you for you to get where you want to go. Now, norms get really tricky because for many people who grew up surviving in their household, or many people who grew up having to fight for their rights, having to fight for their family, having to fight for a better living, all we know is survival. And when all you know is survival, survival becomes your norm. And so when you find out that your norm is having to survive in order for you to thrive, you got to check that. Because that means that in life, you will always subconsciously create survival mode circumstance and relationships for you. Why? Because that's what feeds your norm. And your norm is what's needed for you to feel balanced and for your homeostasis to be in what we call baseline. Now, many people have dysfunctional norms, but watch this, because it's all they know. If we magically, all of us collectively on this call, magically took away their dysfunctional norm and gave them a healthy norm, they would 99% of the time choose that dysfunctional norm over and over again because that's all they know. So check in with what do you know and what feeds you? And is that a baseline and norm that you want to continue, not just for yourself, but continue on through your family pathology? Okay? So the importance of a healthy mindset is when you get in these spaces of fog or no clarity, or trying to figure out what is my next step, where do I pivot to, what is my calling, where am I going with this, what does this look like for me? If you can't find that, the power of a healthy mindset says, I know that I have everything that I need right here. It's my responsibility to look for what that is that I may not be seeing. And sometimes it's just about a shift in perception. A shift in perception. And just a quick little story that talks about perception. And there's a story in the Bible about Peter, and he's on a boat and he's fishing, and he has a one net, in his perspective, a net. And he's fishing, you guys, he's fishing all morning and all night and all morning and all night. And he's just fishing away, and he hasn't caught anything. And Jesus gets on the boat and he says, Peter. And Peter says, I'm exhausted. Yeah, he says, throw your nets, not nets. Jesus says, throw your nets, plural, on the other side of the boat. Peter goes, well, I'm in the same boat, the same water. I only have one net, and I've been fishing all night. There's nothing here. He says it again, throw your nets on the other side of the boat. Peter says, and if I do throw it over there, I only have one net. If I do get all these fish, you're saying my net's going to break. Jesus said, one more. Throw the nets, Peter. Stop being hard-headed, which all of us have had those moments where our parents, our higher being, our source, whoever we plug into, was telling us to do something, and we are just in our norm, in our baseline, and we won't move past that because that's all we know. And what we don't know, we don't know. And we're not trusting the process. We don't have the faith and the belief to say, maybe, just maybe, since what I'm doing is not working, this might be what works. Back to Peter. Peter takes his net, throws it on the other side of the boat. Fishes fill up his nets. Fishes fill up his nets. Nets didn't break. And he didn't have a net, he had nets. So all he had to do was, watch this, shift his perception. He didn't need a new boat. He didn't need new nets. He didn't need a new location. Sometimes it's not about you changing the room. It's about changing the song. Sometimes it's not about you leaving that marriage. It's about shifting your perception. Sometimes it's not about you leaving that career, or leaving that business, or leaving that company. It's about you shifting your perception so you can see the things that are already there for you. Because oftentimes, what do? We keep our net on the same side of the boat. Our perception stays looking in the direction it's been looking in, and we get the same result because we get what we're looking at. Let me say that again. What you perceive, you receive. So all Peter did was shift his perception. Not only did he go from net to nets, not only did he go from no fish to an abundance of fishes, Jesus left the boat and prepared a feast for him and his fishermen. And he said this, because you were obedient, because it's better to be obedient than to sacrifice, I will make you fisher men of men. Meaning you never have to fish again. You never have to fish again. Oftentimes, what's stopping most of us from getting to where we really want to be, or getting to that place of peace, or reaching our goals, or whatever it is that we would like to attain, from small to big, is our inability to shift our perception, because a miracle is just a shift in perception. It's the inability just to see it slightly different. The inability to have the faith and belief of a mustard seed in yourself that it can be different, but you have to be different and do different before it can deliver and show you different. And so what does that mean? Importance of a healthy mindset. Be okay with shifting out of your norm. Be okay with coming into an inventory of what is my norm so I can know what to shift out of. And I can know when that unhealthy, dysfunctional norm presents itself. That's called self-awareness. So you know where to move, you know where to pivot, okay? And when you come into a space of a crossroad that says it's time to pivot, it's time to take that net and shift it to the other side, trust yourself and trust the process, that whatever happens, you will be okay. Whatever happens, you will be okay. Okay? And then the power of choice. And Maria, I see your hand. Anyone else have questions? Put your hand up, please. And I'm going to open up for Q&A soon as I'm finished. But keep your hand up because I want to hear all the questions and I want to hear all the comments. Even if you just have comments and you want to share something you related to, please, I want to hear you. That is my favorite part of when I speak, is when people talk to me and they ask questions and we can synergize. Okay, so I love that. And I want to talk about number 2, the power of a choice. The power of a choice. Growing up, for me, we had a group of girlfriends, and we grew up together as sisters, and there were a lot of different choices and decision making that we each took that landed us in a different place in our world. We grew up in the same inner city. We grew up with the same hardship. We grew up with the same adversity. But we are now living and leading totally different lives. Why? Because every day we live in the results of our choices. The results of our choices. And oftentimes, people think that making a choice is a yes or a no. It is a that or this. But I'm here to tell you that a lot of times, making a choice or making a good decision is sometimes about knowing when not to make a decision at all. It's about knowing when to be still. It's about knowing when to fall back, reevaluate, maybe assess for risk, and then make a decision based on that. Another thing is a blessing given too soon is not a blessing at all. It's a burden. A lot of us are moving really fast to get all that we want because life takes too long to bring it to us. So we're making all these choices and all these decisions. And let's go back to baseline really quick. Because if your baseline is that you have to stay busy to feel productive, if your baseline is you always have to be making a choice to feel like you're doing something, then you won't know, because it won't be your norm, to stay still. And your season is stillness. And your season is solitude, because there's seed time and there's harvest time, and then there's still time. And in seed time, you're planting. And in harvest time, you're receiving. And in still time, you're doing neither. You are collecting and get clarity on what do you plant so you can know what you want to harvest. And anything you plant, remember, produces fruit. And The person who eats that fruit in your garden is not just you, but it's everybody you come in contact with. It's all your loved ones, because we feed them what we feed ourselves. We feed everyone what we feed ourselves. And so we have to be very aware and very selective of what we want to be feeding on. Another thing that has to do with the power of choice, it's boundaries. Okay, boundaries. Boundaries are the nucleus for any healthy relationship. That relationship first being a relationship with yourself. With yourself. So boundaries come to self before they come to others. They come to self. So let's talk about you planting seeds in this beautiful garden, okay? Because this is the thing. If you choose not to plant at all, an unattained or an attended to garden attracts roads and weedings. Roads and weeds. Rodents and weeds. So even if you're not planting the seeds you want, guess what? Something's growing there. Something's crawling there. And so you can't leave your garden unattended and go back to take inventory and say, wow, I have all these rodents and I have all these weeds, but I don't have any harvest. Because you haven't been doing your seed time. You haven't been doing your self inventory. You haven't been evaluating and becoming aware of who and what do I want to plant. And if I don't know what I want to plant, what I say, guys, ladies and gents, I said what? You figure out what you don't want to plant. So if you know what you don't want to plant, then start plowing out all that which you do not want to grow. Start to prune, because seed time, which is planting, also has to do with pruning. So if you ever had a gardener come to your garden, he prunes the rose bushes. He prunes the plants. He prunes so that next season it blooms. And so every season isn't about harvest or seeing productivity. Oftentimes, the pruning is still you being productive. The pruning is still you having a harvest. You're setting up for that harvest. And so I want you to understand the power of choice, knowing what you're choosing and knowing the power and the results of that choice. And it looks like this. I see something or a situation or a person or a relationship that I want. Before I choose, before I plant something in that relationship for a harvest, I go into my still time and I say, okay, let me take inventory on what expenses, not money expenses, what expenses does this relationship or this career or this education or this person take? Take inventory. Then you ask yourself, okay, can I afford that? Can I afford that? Not fiduciary. Can I afford that within the person that I am? Do I have the bandwidth and the capacity to afford what everything that comes with what I'm about to choose? If the answer is yes, then you say, do I want to pay that price? Do I want to pay that price? Because just because you can afford it doesn't mean you want to expend in it. And if the answer is no, you know not to make that choice. If the answer is yes to all those, then that's a choice that's for you. That's a choice that's for you, and that's okay. But learn the power of evaluating and assessing, do I want to choose this? What does it come with? And am I willing to facilitate and pay for all that it comes with? And do I have the capacity for it? Kind of like the saying, right? Your eyes are bigger than your stomach. So you go to the buffet and you get this big old plate. I mean, I do it all the time, even though I eat a lot. I have a big appetite, but you go to a buffet, you put everything on your plate, and you're only able to eat so much. Oftentimes in life, we got to make sure we're not choosing bigger than we are ready for. And I want to go I want to pivot here. You also want to make sure that you are not choosing smaller than what you deserve. Because oftentimes it's not that you are not dreaming. For many of us, it's that we ain't dreaming big enough. And there's no dream that's too big. There's no dream that's too big. I have manifested many things in my life that are huge and gigantic, from just a little girl who never even could have imagined being in the rooms and the places and living in homes and being honored and privileged and blessed enough for God to allow my mother to live with me and me to be able to take care of my mom. You know, there was times where we, you know, again, growing up in the inner city, I wanted that. I wanted that. I didn't see how the full picture would come out. I get to, you know, be in session with you all. My mom gets to go swim in the backyard in the pool freely. right? I'm a little jealous. I'm just playing. But she gets to be in the pool all day and enjoy her life. But those are things that I always wanted as a little girl, but I didn't have the vision, but I knew what I didn't want. So again, the power of choices, making the choices that will breed you the result that you want. And then lastly, and I'll go into Q&A and commentary, is self-care and self-love. I've said it over and over again. You cannot and you will never give people anything you do not have. Hurt people, and healed people, heal people. Hurt people, and healed people, heal people. There was a time, because of all of my trauma, because of dysfunction, because of toxicity, because of my pain that I harbored. This is me. And if my cup is filled with pain, and you come into relationship with me as a friend, a loved one, romantic, a relationship, it doesn't matter, a constituent, this is me. You experience me. You drink from who I am. What do you think, like Daniel? What do you think you're drinking out of your cup? If your cup is filled with pain, you and people are drinking the pain. And that's where toxicity comes from. And that's how relationships end up having a very cracked foundation, because we haven't done the healing, right? But if I fill, again, my glass up, my bottle up with love and compassion and all the things that I want to be able to give people, guess what? I get to give it to myself. And what I've learned in life is that just like food, right? We all have to poop what we eat. Let me say it again. We poop what we eat. People don't poop what we eat. We do. Same way with what we give people. What God moves through you, he gives to you, good or bad. What moves through you, you keep, good or bad. So again, what is it that you want to be able to keep that you're giving? Self-care and self-love is what fills your cup up with all the stuff that's needed to have healthy relationships, to have emotional intelligence. By the way, emotional intelligence is a nucleus of healthy relationships, personal and business. Personal business. Again, self-care, self-love is what gives you the recharge so that people who plug into you get something out of you. And watch this. It also gives you the boundary that says, when you plug into me, I also need to be able to plug into you. Because many of us have people who plug into us, and we are their generator, and we are their electrical port, and they can suck and suck, and they get everything they need from us. And then we go home and we complain about how drained we are, about how much help we need, about how much we do not have left to give, because what? Our power of choice wasn't made. Our power of choosing to say, listen, I don't have it, and what I do have left in my cup, I need it to quench my own thirst. And that is healthy. That is called boundaries, and that is the epitome of self-love, is knowing the power of choice, knowing when to say no, knowing when you need to make sure that you are plugging back into people, and that you guys are an electrical outlet that allows for plugins to go both ways, and you're not being zapped. Because once you're on E, you not only are doing a disservice to yourself, but you are unavailable, and you are doing a disservice to everyone that you come in contact with, especially your loved ones. And so this is about balance. And life is about not being perfect, but being able to shift your perception like Peter did, so that when perfection comes to a place that tells you that you have no fish, when life comes to a place where telling you that, hey, this can't be done, that you have the healthy mindset to shift your perception, see things differently, make a different and better choice, pour self-love and self-care into yourself so that you can be in a space where you're filled up and topped off, and you have everything that you really want to give to folks. You have it in yourself. And for the mothers and the fathers out there, and I'm gonna wrap up with this and we're going to Q&A, for you all who have little ones who are watching you, you are teaching them how to let people use them or how to let people respect them. You are teaching them how to let people drain them or how to allow and enable people to empower them. You are teaching them what it looks like to be a valued man in the world, or how to be a man of no value, in the sense that you are depleted. When I say value, it's not money. It's how much have you given yourself? for other people to be able to enjoy with you. The first experience of them comes through watching you. It's called learned behavior. And if you don't think those little, beautiful little kiddos will not grow up to learn what you have showed them, not told them. Hold on, showed them, not told them, because words don't teach, experience does. So whatever experience you are showing them that life is giving you is the experience norm and baseline you're creating for them. I grew up in a household where I was shown how to fight really well. I was shown how to survive bears and tigers and lions. I mean, my mother and grandmother, I mean, I would trust them in a lion's den and they'd come out winning. Okay. But I had to learn. I had to learn because I was taught. My experience as a little girl was, if you learn how to fight, not just with this, but with this and with this and with energy, if you learn how to fight really well, guess what? You'll triumph everything. But as I grew up as a woman, fighting became exhausting. Fighting became depleting. And fighting became my life. And when I realized, wait a minute, I have the power of choice. I don't have to fight like that. I don't have to fight like them. And I don't have to fight y'all. Because guess what? I can fill my cup up with what I want and what I want to give you and how I want to experience our relationships. And I can plant the seeds that breed the harvest and the results that I want. I started planting and I started filling up my cup and I started to learn how to thrive and no longer survive. And today, life is not perfect and I don't want a perfect life because I'm a type of woman where I like a challenge. So bring it on. But I can tell you this, my challenges don't come and I'm there with boxing gloves on. My challenges come and I'm saying, okay, so what do you need from me, challenge, for us to thrive in this situation? Totally different perspective. What do you need from me for us to thrive in this challenge? Not let's go to fight, let's go to war. And now, guess what? My world becomes a war zone. And so when you all enter my space to experience me, there'll be only a matter of time before you and I are at war. Why? Because war is my way of life. War is my way of life. And so, again, want you to understand that filling yourself up with the things that you want to be and feel, which is you only have one job, and that's to be happy. You have one job, literally. And one job, that's just to be happy. One. And happy isn't a thing, happy is a feeling. Let me say it again, happy isn't tangible. You can't touch happiness. Happy's a feeling. We all want something because of how it will make us feel. We all want someone because of how they will make us feel. So you have one job, that's to be happy. And make sure you're not codependent with your happiness. Meaning you don't need someone or something to be a certain way for you to be happy. Align your three-part house. Your three-part house is how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. Then you are happy. And when you're in alignment, you are fully open for all of your blessings, everything you ask for to pour in. When you are out of alignment, I want you to see this. It may funnel through one, but it can't get through the other. So it never truly penetrates you. So then you go around saying, how come I always get right there, but never all the way? Three-part house, how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. Align it, align it. Am I thinking in a way that I want to feel? And then am I behaving in the way that allows my thinking and my feeling to be happy? One thing, one job, and that's to be happy. So I'm going to open it up now to Q&A and comments, and I'm super excited. So Maria, I did see your hand up first, but Navneet, if you want to go in a different order, I'm okay with that as well.
No, perfect. I think a lot of people waiting to ask questions. So start with Maria.
Perfect. Hi, Maria.
Hello, thank you for being here with us today. You're amazing. Your conversation was amazing, and I felt like I resonated with all of it as I get closer to start my journey in law school in exactly 2 weeks. So I feel like during my undergrad, I was doing all these extracurricular activities because they filled up my cup. But at the time, it felt like I worked best under that pressure and knowing that I didn't have time and having that work back to back. But now I've heard from many people that like, hey, this won't work in law school. do you have any suggestions, or have you ever felt like you were in that situation where like community is what you do, but at the same time you also have to focus on academics, or um, prioritize other things as I navigate and try to balance all this personal work and school life?
No, no, that's a great question. Yes, I have. I was actually engaged I'm not married now, but I was engaged to my first fiance, my sophomore year of college, all the way through my master's. So I had to balance him because I wanted to make sure I was being a good helpmate with him in school. And I had a company, a legal company a mobile legal company that I owned, and I had to balance all three. And I say that to say, what you have to do, Maria, is always remember that if you don't come first in what you need, not in a selfish way, okay? If you don't put what Maria needs first, you will always choose yourself last. What does that mean? That means that when you go to choose your career, you will settle because you'll choose outside of what you really want. When you go to choose your mate, if you don't already have one, you will settle because you'll be choosing outside of what Maria really wants. The best thing you can do, especially in the season that you are in, entering law school, going into this new chapter, is build the strongest relationship with your heart. And what that means is you ask your heart. I meditate 20 minutes every single day, and it is brilliant because me and my heart get to connect and I get to feel who I really am. And it takes ego and it throws it somewhere else. But I want you to build a really strong relationship with your heart. And I want that relationship to be the strongest relationship you will ever have in your entire life. And I want you to allow your heart to speak, to have a voice. And I want you to give your heart freedom to ask for what it wants and let your mind assess for risk, because the heart starts to want some really funky stuff. Let your mind assess for risk, but promise your heart that you'll let it have what it wants after you assess to make sure it's protected in a way that it can have it, and the result will end up being something you want. But that's the best thing you can ever do, because as I look at my life, I've been engaged a few times. I've had, best friends who we've been super, super close, and then seasons where you're a little distant. Of course, I've had families who've passed away. But the one person who's still here, who still has to deal with my stuff, who still has to deal with my days when they're not too good, who still has to make sure I feel good and I'm happy, is me. And so as you realize that, especially as a woman, and men, we love you, but I'm saying as a woman, you'll start to learn to really put yourself first, especially as I came into these 40s. I just turned 40 last year. As I come into my 40s, I mean, it's magical because putting myself first is so easy now, and I don't have the guilt to come with it because I've already put myself last so many times and made sacrifices, and I seen that those sacrifices were not even necessary. Okay, hope that answered your question. I think I see Angelita, and then we'll go to Daniel.
Thank you, Dr. Bryant. That was, like Maria said, it's just been an amazing talk, and I really appreciate everything that you've said. Earlier, you were talking about like shifting self-perception, and I was just wondering if you could give us, for those of us that are just like more practical, we're looking for like actual actions and things that we can actually do in terms of shifting self-perception, because I feel like sometimes that can be tough. It can be hard, emotions, things, you can be overwhelmed or feel pressures or guilt. I think as women, especially like women of color, we're raised to give to others, give. And so sometimes there's like a guilt associated with like not being able to do that. So any tips and ideas, practical things that we can do to help shift journaling? I don't know, anything you can think of would be great to hear. Thank you.
Angelita, oh, you're welcome. You know what? You are 100% on point with shifting your perception. I've been doing this 16 years, and I've been a human for 40 years, and I've been a woman of color for 40 years. That is the hardest thing to do, is to see it different. It is the hardest thing to do, is to trust it different. Even after you see it different, you still don't trust it different. And so meditation, and this is just, I don't make any money from you meditating. And so this is just really telling you the real wealth in it. Meditation every day, 20 minutes, literally, it chips away at the distrust that you have in yourself, because distrust comes from ego. See, ego doesn't just fool people, it fools you. Your ego will tell you you can't trust yourself. You can't see it differently. No. Stay here, because if I keep you here, guess what? I can keep feeding you the egocentric, unhealthy, distorted thoughts, distorted relationships, and the dysfunction. Because you got to feed that at which it is for that thing to stay what it is. And ego wants you to stay in a place of disharmony, of discord. That's how it feeds. That's what it feeds off of. And so you got to be able to get out of the ego, and you got to be able to get into a place that is empowering. And this is why self-love and self-care is so important, because it empowers you to trust one human being more than any human being on this earth, and that's yourself. And when you get to a place of trusting yourself to a point where you can feel the fear and do it anyways, you are in the pit of everything opening up for you. I mean, literally everything opens up for you when you feel the fear and you do it anyways. When you say with or without a life jacket, I'm jumping. And if there's sharks down there, they better worry about me, because I'm a bigger shark. And when you get into that mindset of having faith that big and trusting yourself to that point, you will become a professional jumper. Let me tell you, I tell God every morning, what are we jumping off of this morning? I don't need a life jacket. One, I trust myself. Two, I know you cover me. And if there's not dolphins down there, I'm a shark too, because the things I've been through, my bite is really big. See, but look what I just did. See how I went back to my norm as a little girl, the fighter in me? So I want to show you guys my imperfections too, by how I just went into that space of saying, wait a minute, what if there are no sharks down there, Dr. Bryant? What if there are only dolphins that would take you underneath your arms like dolphins do and swim you to your destination? See, those are moments where I would check myself, have self-awareness, and say, shift your perception, Dr. Bryant, like Peter did. And don't talk about the sharks down there if you don't want to meet sharks down there. We got to be careful with what comes out of our mouth. If I don't want to meet with sharks, why am I speaking about them? Because that's the trauma in me that is learned firsthand how to be a good fighter. So I'm already ready to fight sharks, and we're not even in the water. I want you guys to see how I do it myself. So you can't beat yourself up when you do it. If I've been doing this 16 years, I meditate every day, and I still have moments where I'm ready to fight, because I'm naturally a fighter, because that's what I learned. So that's what you do. You get into a space, you trust yourself, you trust the process, and you jump every time, because the worst that can happen is you got to swim up to shore. And from looking at you and hearing you speak, I would bet my money on you that you could swim up to shore very well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course. Daniel?
Yeah, so I do have a question, but I think Ariana had her hand raised before I did, so I'll actually let her go first, and then I'll go.
Thank you, Dan. You guys help me out, because I only can see so many people, so just dive in there, please.
Thank you, Daniel. Hi, Dr. Bryant. Thank you for the talk. That was amazing. Can you talk about your favorite techniques to recognize and redirect any lower vibrational thoughts or feelings that come up, so that we can more effortlessly manifest what we're intending to?
100%. Another brilliant question. Y'all are smarty pants. Brilliant questions. First, awareness. Second, reprogramming. Third, extreme action. So what does awareness look like? Thought comes in, I feel it, like I just did when I was giving my answer. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm talking about sharks when I really don't want to be down there with sharks. I don't want to fight. So why am I talking about sharks, right? Awareness, okay? Reprogram, quick. I reprogrammed it quick. I said, wait a minute, there could be dolphins down there. The dolphins can actually take me to shore. We can actually glide together. Dolphins are beautiful. It could be the experience of a lifetime. Like, who gets dolphins to be able to come? See, I shift quick, reprogram. So awareness, what am I thinking? I know my thought. That thought was distorted. Okay, reprogram. When I say reprogram, I'm talking about immediately. Don't get in your car and let the thoughts sit in your mind and come in your house and come to dinner. And no, it pays no bills, it pays no rent. It cannot be there. Okay, it cannot be there. So reprogram. Think another thought. That thought has to be what you want, or if you don't know what you want, just think the opposite. Think the opposite. If it's black, think white. If it's white, think black, okay? Then the last one, extreme action. That means whatever it is that can be done in that moment, that can be done, do. And you do it quick. If it's, you have an accountability partner and you text your best friend, my best friends are my accountability partner, and you text quick and it says, hey girl, I love you, hope you have a good day. Extreme action. She's gonna text you back. Unless she doesn't, she's probably not a good friend. If she texts you back like screw you, she should text back, hey, love you too, have a good day. You're shifting your perception. Listen, guys, it doesn't take much to move a mountain as much as we think it does. Unless you think it does, then you are right, because you're always right in what you're thinking. Hear what I said? You are always right. So if you think that the mountain can't be moved, it will not be moved. If you think it needs a bulldozer, then it needs a bulldozer. But if you think you can move it with your words, which is another story in the Bible, it will move. It will move. And it doesn't have to move physically, it just has to move mentally. And then lastly, I want to talk about, because I know we got other questions, but how you manifest isn't by your thoughts. So yes, what you focus on magnifies. Law of attraction is you attract who you are despite of who you think you are. You hear that? You attract who you are despite of who you think you are. Let me tell you why. Emotion is what sets what you just mentioned, that vibration. Thought creates the emotion. Emotion sets the vibration. We don't manifest so much our thoughts, we manifest our emotion. So what that means is we have to feed ourselves the thoughts, watch this guys, that creates the emotion that will attract that at which we feel. That's why earlier on I said you have one job, and that's to be happy. Right, Ariana? Because being happy will attract what? More of happiness. Just like being low vibration will attract more things to keep you in your low vibration. Because life doesn't know good or bad. It just knows that it's your genie. And the way you rub it and make requests is based on your emotional state. How do you feel right now is what you're going to attract. It's law of attraction, not insertion. Okay, so awareness, reprogram that thought and take extreme action to get you out of that thought process so that you can feel a different vibration. The only thing you need to do, Ariana, is ask yourself, how do I feel right now? If this is what is going to manifest, am I okay with it? If the answer is no, feel something else. If the answer is yes, stay right there in that feeling. And you will see things manifest, I mean, at a crazy speed that will blow your mind. Blow your mind.
Thank you, Dr. Bryant.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, Daniel, was it your turn yet or someone else? You got to help me out. I can't see everyone.
Yeah, now it's my turn.
Got it.
So the question I had is so you spoke about, the importance of having boundaries. And I guess my question, and so many others would probably have this question as well, would be, where do you draw the line between having boundaries and, say, being selfish? I guess in romantic relationships, it would be called being controlling. So where do you draw the line between having boundaries and being controlling, being selfish?
And I love the word controlling because it's so subjective. Let me tell you why. I grew up with an alpha father. Well, let me go. He's extreme alpha. And so he is very much, I'm the man of the house. I make the rules. I pay the bills. You can have an opinion, but it better be respectful. And at the end of your opinion, if it doesn't align with my opinion, I heard it. We won't adhere to it. But very loving, great father. And I say that to say, he was very, as a young girl, if he called my phone, I had to answer. Dad's calling. If he needed something, I had to be present. And he was the same way. And I say all that to say that growing up as a young girl, this is why it's subjective, Daniel. Growing up as a young girl, I had a father in my life that showed me that through what folks would deem controlling, right? And they're not wrong. Everyone's perception is right, which would deem controlling. I deemed being loved because my father protected me. My father provided for me. My father listened to me. But my father had strong boundaries, and it often looked like he was controlling. But let me tell you something, that was leadership. Because at 14 years old, I'm going to self-disclose, at 14 years old, I end up a product of teenage pregnancy. I end up a pregnant 14-year-old little girl. And my father, who folks would deem controlling, I deem taking leadership. He was the head of that household, the head, and he acted like it. He said, baby, you may hate me now, but you will thank me later. You're not going to keep this child. And for a lot of people who are not wrong for thinking this way, they would say, that controlling man, how could he? I was, Daniel, in my sophomore year of college, engaged, living together and rocking, traveling the world and going to college and, live. And I randomly called my dad. I said, Daddy, thank you. He said, for what? I said, I didn't hate you then, but you're right. Thank you for taking leadership. Thank you for being the head. And thank you for building a relationship with me at a young age that I knew I can trust your decision making. What I've learned, Daniel, is that folks who make great decisions can come off controlling because they're used to being heads and not tails, meaning they're used to being the one in the forefront that says, this is what's best for us. And oftentimes, for people who don't make good decision making or maybe don't have natural leadership skills, even in a relationship, they can deem that as controlling because it could be shining a light on where they don't do well in that decision making process or where they are not doing well in that leadership position, right? And so for you, I would offer that you take your own self inventory and say, okay, if this is controlling, for the sake of just the conversation, if I am being, or whoever it is being controlling, what is my intent behind this subjective control? Is my intent to manipulate? If it is, yeah, you're being unhealthily controlling. Is my intent to lead this household to the promised land through my leadership? No, you're being a man of that house. You're exhibiting leadership skills. And you have to also consider, where did the partner that you're with or whoever this person is with, what was their relationship like with their father if it's the man who they think is controlling, or with their mother if it's the woman who thinks you're being controlling? What was that relationship like? Because again, for a little girl like me, I would get into a space like that and go, thank you, God, I got a man who knows how to run things. Thank you, God, I got a man who knows how to lead. But guess what? I don't account for everyone. That's only because I had a father who did this and it led me to a promised land. My father hasn't led me into a ditch yet with his leadership, I call, but some of my girlfriends would even say he's controlling. My mom thinks he's controlling. I say I love his leadership because I can trust that I can tuck into my daddy and he can lead me. And I hope one day when I finally do decide to get married, that my husband can have the same statue because I had a good experience of it. But some women have not had a good experience of it. And so we got to look into what that experience was for her, right? And how it's triggering for her and how we can figure out what that looks like to make it work. And I hope that answers your question. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Of course, you're welcome. I see, is it Regine?
Yes, this is Regine. Good morning, Dr. Bryant, and thank you for your time today. I want to play the devil's advocate here, and this is kind of like a continuation of what Ariana's take on the subject. You told us that you have to feel the strongest feeling in your heart, right? But people tells us that brain is higher than the heart. So we need to think first rather than feel with the heart. So what is your take on that, and how do we shift to do it the other way around?
Yeah, Regine, another great question. This is a thing. You'll never receive satisfaction from your mind. Fulfillment is a heart space. Fulfillment is a heart thing. The heart wants what it wants. Now, do you use your mind to assess for risk for what the heart wants? Absolutely. That's where the alignment comes. How I think, the mind, how I feel, the emotion, shows up in how I behave. So yes, you do need the mind. It is very important. However, if you want fulfillment, you're going to have to give your heart what it wants. For example, and I know y'all are a law firm. I think it's amazing. I initially was thinking of going to law school coming out of my undergrad, and I prayed on it. I'm a praying woman. I prayed on it and I prayed on it. And I said, God, if I decide to go the psychology route, do not put me in the inner city, in the hood with DCFS and folks who are in the system. I've been through trauma. I've seen enough. I just don't want that. I don't want that heartache. I don't know. I don't want that. And I decided to go into this field of psychology. And the first place he put me in my internship was middle of the inner city, in the hood, all the DCF kids, social work kids, court-ordered families. And I'm going, I thought I asked you not to put me here. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is my mind was thinking, well, I can go, I want to go into law. I'm very good with creating a narrative. I'm very good with being able to read between lines and create a scenario and do all these things. People told me I'd be good at it because of how I think and my strong personality. And then when I seeped into my heart said, I want to teach people how to heal like I did. I want to teach people how to take their broken pieces and make peace like I did. I want to teach that little boy who's an abandoned little boy who grows up to feel like he's not worthy, but puts on this mask and dresses himself up like he is, but he's broken in the inside. I want to shift his perception. I want him to be able to see himself as the king and the man and the worthiness that he is. I want to help this little girl who possibly was like me and had a lot of abandonment issues. And so she comes out and she's spitting venom to everyone because it's just pain that comes out of her. I want to teach her how to empty her pain cup and fill it up with love and compassion. I want to show her that people aren't always against her, that people do love her. People do have her back. And this journey doesn't have to be rough. And when I started to process those things, Regine, my heart lit up. And let me tell you, every time I'm in a session, just like now with you all, my heart is fed. I am satisfied. I've learned that you can make money anywhere and still be miserable and your heart be deferred, right? But if you know you can put a dollar amount on any service, because you really can, why not go find what your heart loves, put a price to it, and find the people who are willing to pay for it? And then every day that you do it, you're not just feeding those people who are paying for your service, you're actually able to give people everything you are and be authentic. And you leave that service or that session or that place really feeling good about who you are, the money that's in your pocket, and you're a better person at the end of the day. Because I'm not saying I wouldn't have totally killed the law field, because I would have been great at anything I get into because I'm convicted by that. But what I am saying is I probably would have killed the field of law, but still searching for my purpose. Because this is what I always say, and I do know. Your purpose isn't out there. Find yourself, and there's your purpose. Your purpose is in who you are. It's in you, not out of you. So once you find who you are, your purpose is there, and you know it because everything lights up in you. So the mind will protect you. The heart will light you up. And for me, I wanted to be lit up. I wanted to be excited. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to make people happy. So you're on the right page, Regine. Your mind is very important. It's there to assess risk and to protect you. But the mind will pull you away from the things that you really want by telling the heart no, because that's not our norm. That's not what we were taught. And the mind will also tell you sometimes you don't deserve it. And it will take the heart away, the hope away from the heart. And hope deferred makes the heart sick. And there's only place for hope is in the heart. So they're both important, but I want you to get into being what feels good to you and doing your one job by being happy. And the mind is tricky. It's necessary, but you can think yourself out of happiness. But watch this. You can't love yourself out of happiness, but you can love yourself out of pain. You can love yourself. Someone can love you out of your trauma. They can love you out of your weakness. So I hope that answered your question, Regine.
Yes, thank you so much. Your answer is actually quite inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I know I see Mike, but I'm open to taking one or two more questions, and I'll make them as quick as I can if we have any more. Or comments. You don't have to have a question. You can make a comment. I can't see the hands. Daniel, you want to help me or someone? I can't see the hands.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bryant, for sharing your life story with us and giving us encouraging comments. Lots of questions. And we hope to see you again soon. We'll stay in touch with you.
Absolutely. Please do. And can you share my email with all of the guests that are on here? Because I want them to have access to me. So if they have extra questions, I want to be able to help them and have my team assist them. Wonderful group of people. Y'all are really blessed to have each other. So thank you for sharing my story and letting me pull you into, the pain that I've healed and then pull you into my peace that I've made from it. So love you all. Have a wonderful week. And please give them my email. I want to be able to help them as much as I can.
Okay. Everybody will get your email. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hello, Mike. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Navneet. It keeps saying try again. Am I on, or can they see me?
Yes, thank you.
They can see me? Okay. It keeps saying try again. It blocks out everything.
So you're going to teach us how to speak English today, Mike?
Well, I'm going to try to do that.
Okay.
Jeepers, I can't see anybody here. I've got this screen that keeps saying try again, and then it goes back to all these circles with.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on here.
We have 65 people listening to you.
Yeah, I see that.
So,
can they see me?
Yeah, they can see.
Yes.
We can see you.
You can see me, okay? Because I can't
Yeah.
see anybody.
Yeah.
And I've got my camera on, and
Okay.
I just checked it, and it's working.
Okay.
And
So tell us about your life, Mike, and then
okay, well,
I'll pick people for you to
okay,
so you can critique us.
That's great. I wish I could see you, but are your cameras on, or?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. I don't know why I can't see you. Let's see. The camera is turn camera off. Oh no, I want to keep it on. Okay. Well, my name is Mike Marion. I'm sure glad to meet all of you. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Anybody live in Atlanta, Georgia? I think Navneet said that you got an office.
Yes.
Down?
Yes, I am Mike.
Okay,
Shailesh.
great. Okay. Well, I spent 2 years teaching children in China to speak on the internet, to speak English, using through the internet, and I had a wonderful time doing that. And I have had some training in teaching people to speak a foreign language. I'm certified as a teacher of foreign languages. I'd say teaching English as a foreign language. If this was a Zoom meeting, I could show you my certificate, but I don't know how this team thing works. So, but the way what we're going to do today is I'm just going to go around and call on people, or Navneet, you can call on people. Well, I saw myself for a second there. I don't know what's going on, but and the best way to learn English for someone who doesn't, for someone who English is not a first language, is what we call total immersion, and that's just engaging in conversation. And most of my classes with the children in China was just talking, and we had a little lesson that we went through, but mostly it was just talking and my learning to listen, and then stopping them and trying to get them to pronounce English the proper way. Do some of you struggle with English, learning to pronounce it properly? I think so. Some of you, Navneet, you said some of the people did.
Hi, Mike. This is Esther.
Hi,
Yeah,
Esther.
yeah, I feel like there is a pronunciation issue for specific words, so that I would like to have more improvements, specifically when I talk
Okay,
to people, they kind of would like to get more clarification. So
sure.
definitely pronunciation is one of the thing I think all of us would like to improve,
Right,
or get more ideas. So definitely this is just from my personal perspective.
right. Esther, where are you from?
Oh, I'm from China mainland, so I speak
Oh,
Mandarin.
okay. Ni hao. Ni
Ni
hao
hao,
ma.
ni hao.
Ni hao. Uh-huh. Okay, sure, Esther. Okay, yeah, all of my Chinese students, they all had English names that were given to them before I met them. So, okay, so well, here's how it works. I'm going to try just start a conversation with you, and when you see me go like this, with I put my finger on my lower lip, that means just stop talking for a second, and I'm going to repeat back what you said, but I'm going to try to say it in proper English. And this is the best way to learn English, is by talking to someone like me who's a native American, a native speaker, and then I'll try to teach you. And then after I go like this, I'm going to go like this. You can see my hand cupped by my ear. That means you repeat back what I just said the way I said it. Okay, so Esther, tell me about yourself. When did you come to the United States? Esther,
Do you mind I turn on my video, or you feel it's better right now?
Okay, I can't see a thing. It just keeps saying try again, and then I get this. I push that, and I get a screen with a bunch of circles in it, a bunch of names, and then it vanishes. So I don't know what's going on here. So I'll just have to listen to you. So tell me about yourself, Esther. When did you come to the United States? Esther, are you there?
Esther,
You're
you're
muted. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
I came to the United States in 2014 when I would like to join William Mary as a law school student.
Okay. So what you're saying is I went to William and Mary College as a law school student.
I went to William Mary as a law school student.
Okay. I went to William. Is it William and Mary Law School?
William and Mary Law School.
Okay. I went to William and Mary Law School.
I went to William and Mary Law School.
Very good. Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right. What made you go to William and Mary from China?
Because at that time my husband decided to go to the United States for a master's degree, and I decided to go with him.
Well, I'm sure he's glad that you came with him. Okay. All right. Good. Well, that's very good. So anyway, you put the two together, William and Mary. I think you said before William Mary. So, all right, good. How about somebody else? Somebody else want to step up to the plate? And who else can I talk to? Somebody, Dominique, can you pick out somebody?
Sure, Carmen.
Okay, Carmen. Where are you? Okay, Carmen.
Carmen,
you're on mute.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hi. I'm very well. Where are you from, Carmen?
Well, I was born in California. I was
Yeah.
born and raised, and my parents are both from Mexico, and
Yeah.
they immigrated here in the 60s. So,
Okay. About 60 years ago. So is Spanish your first language?
I spoke Spanish. That was my first language. My mom's a homemaker. She never worked, and so she never really went out too much.
Don't
and
tell your mother she never worked.
she worked a lot at home, but never had like a job outside of the home.
Well,
So she
don't
spoke
tell her that
Spanish.
though. Her job was taking care of you and all your brothers and sisters. So
Which is more work than I realize that.
She just didn't get a paycheck. That's all. Okay.
That's right.
All right. Okay. And are you a lawyer?
I'm not. I'm a manager here at the firm. I manage a team of about 25 people.
Yeah.
Immigration.
Okay. Well, you have very good English.
Well, I went to school here. I got my bachelor's here. So I hope I do. Thank you.
I think you have very good English. Yeah. I mean, barely a trace of an accent at all. Where is your office? Where I'm calling right now?
I'm in the Cerritos office, the LA office.
Yeah, LA office. Okay. Okay. Did you go to what, UCLA or?
No, I went to Cal Poly Pomona.
Okay.
And
I've heard of that,
I got my bachelor's in business administration.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, you have very good English. That's great. So you've had lots of practice. When did you have to start speaking English on a regular basis?
When I went to kindergarten.
Oh, okay. So you were just a little kid. That's great. The smaller they are, the better they are at learning a language. Okay. All right. How about somebody? I think you've got a lot of people there from India.
Yeah, we have lots of people from India.
Yeah.
Balveen, are you around?
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Hi, Balveen, is it?
Yes, Balveen. Yes. So I have. I think my concern is I don't have enough vocabulary. Like I don't have enough good words to use. Like I have a very basic vocabulary. So.
But you still talk a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all right. Balveen, are you a lawyer?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And you came from India?
I did from Chandigarh, Punjab. Yes, from northern part of India, close to
Punjab,
Delhi.
I've heard of that. Yeah, sure. And
Yeah.
how long have you been here?
I've been here for 17 years.
Okay, well, you have very good English. All right, so you're saying I have a very limited vocabulary.
Right. And then I
Don't
mess
say
up.
that. I have a very limited vocabulary.
Oh, limited. Yeah, I have a very limited vocabulary. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then I mess up the grammar as well. Like sometimes it's to or for or from or on.
Yeah. It's I went to the store. I just came home from the store.
Yeah.
Is that how that you kind of get them mixed up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I to is you go from here to there. From is when you come from there to here. Okay.
Okay.
So
Gerardo from our Houston office wants to talk.
okay, Geraldo. Hi. I can't see you, but I guess you can see me. Geraldo? Are you there?
Hey, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
My name is
Oh, there you go.
Gerardo.
I said Gerardo Mendez.
Yes,
Okay, good deal. Gerardo, where are you from?
I am from Mexico.
Yeah. And are you a lawyer?
I'm not.
Okay. What do you do at the Chug firm?
I am a global immigration manager.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Okay, so you help people with getting visas.
visas and work permits for any outside of the U.S. basically.
Yeah, the H-1B and the J-1s and yeah, sure.
No, that would be U.S. visas. For example, work permits or residence permits for France, for Colombia, for Mexico, for Brazil.
Okay. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. So so English, I mean, Spanish is your first language. How long have you been here, Gerardo?
Since the end of 1996, December of 1996.
1996, so that's 27 years. Okay. Well, you have very good English. The more you practice, the better you'll be. And I sound, working at Chug Law Firm, I'm sure you get plenty of practice. So what do you struggle with English, Gerardo?
At this point, I would say probably grammar, but
Okay.
like when I moved to part of my family moved to the U.S.,
Yeah.
I didn't speak English. I had taken 3 years of English in middle school in Mexico.
Yeah.
And I had I had good grades, but it's completely different when you just like when you're not immersed in the language. It took me about a year and a half to be confident enough to start a conversation, because I could respond if spoken to.
Yeah.
But to feel confident enough to start a conversation, it took me about a year and a half.
Okay. Well, your English right now is very good. You got some an accent there, but it's I mean, it's not real noticeable. I mean, it's yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Were you just a child when you came, I guess?
I was 15.
Okay. And then where did you move to?
I moved to San Antonio in Texas.
Sure. Okay. All right.
I finished high school there, and then I went to Texas A&M University in College Station.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And from there, I moved to the Houston area.
Okay. And so you're in the Houston office right now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. So you would say some of the grammar, some of the participles, to and from, you get them mixed up.
Yes, and the I guess I mixed up sometimes tenses.
Okay.
When I write a document and I have it like peer reviewed, I used to get, I mean, it's been a while, but I used to get like a lot of corrections in my kind of keeping my verb tenses consistent.
Mhm. Well, English, for someone to learn English is coming from another language is very hard. I mean, I have to tell you, I mean, there's always an exception to the rule. There's no one cut and dry rule. It's the way it always is. It works like this sometimes, but on the other hand, it works. So, and you just have to kind of learn. So are you still struggling with tenses?
I would think I have gotten better, but still, yeah, I find myself sometimes making mistakes like that, having to go back and reread my writing and then correct.
So, Gerardo, tell me tell me a typical kind of mistake that you make.
For example, if I'm writing a sentence and I say something like just changing the endings of verbs to ing, like ing.
Yeah.
Or just keeping the, it's just sometimes I you know, like I have mistakes in those, keeping those together.
Yeah. Okay. So
I cannot think of an example.
That's all right. You just, you know, the only way to learn it, I think, is just to get used to it. And for somebody like me, who just grew up with the language, you just kind of remember which goes where, and but it's practice. So, but all you seem to have some speak pretty good English. Is there anybody else there that's
so Mike, what do you see the most common grammar mistakes that people make in life, either in writing or speaking?
It would be when I hear it'd be the tense. They'll say something in the present tense and they mean the past tense. You know, I go to the store. I mean, and they meant to say I went to the store. You know, I go, or we have these little words that we stick in there. I go store. I am going to go to the store. You know, that's hard for people to learn sometimes. And vocabulary just comes with time and practice. So, but I'd say tense would be one of the hardest things to deal with when you're learning English.
But then you often read that don't use big words, don't use words that are complicated, keep your life simple, speak in simple vocabulary.
That's right. That's right. That's the most effective. Yeah. Right. When you write, and I know you do a lot of documents there, the best thing to do is keep your sentences short. What we call declarative sentence. A declarative sentence is like declare, where you just say something. You know, the sky is blue. The sky is blue today and it looks like rain. The sky is blue today, period. It looks like rain. Tomorrow, or let's just say the sky is, let's say it wouldn't be raining if it looked like rain, but to say it's cloudy today and it looks like rain. You say it's cloudy today, period. It looks like rain. See, you would say, so those short declarative sentences are you're much less likely to make a mistake. So just try to keep the sentences short, and you've got one sentence, one idea, or one idea, one sentence. Next idea, next sentence, so on. Okay, so.
Malik Thakkar, you want to ask a question, say something?
Hi.
Yes, thanks.
Hi.
Hi, Mike. Yes,
Hi.
I'm Malik. I'm from Gujarat, India.
India, okay. And your name is Molek?
Malik, yeah.
Okay. Hi.
Just want to ask that when there is a long conversation, I'm just stuck in framing the sentence. Actually.
Okay.
Not able to continue the long conversation.
Slow down when you talk to me. Just slow down. Now say that. Sure. Say what you just said, but slower.
Yeah, sure. When I'm trying to long conversation, then I'm stuck in the framing the sentence. Actually, I'm not able to frame the sentence as what I want to convey in an easy way.
Okay,
Yes.
but slow. Well, you got to slow down. Slow down.
Mm,
So
yeah.
when you got to say, when I'm trying to speak, when I'm trying to frame a sentence, I have to, you know, that's how you just slow down.
Okay.
Try that again. Say it slow.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Whenever I try to make a sentence, means to say whenever I try to for long conversation. Yeah.
Slow. You're spitting up again.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Slow down.
Thanks.
Slow down.
Yeah, sure. Whenever I try to conversation for a conversation, then I'm
Wait.
not
A
able.
conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Conversation.
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 Go slow. Say each syllable. Conversation. Conversation. Say that.
Yeah. Conversation. Conversation.
No, wait. Conversation.
Conversation.
Okay, we got to work on that. Let's try it one more time. Conversation.
Yeah.
Say that. Say. No, shun. Yes. That's that middle one there. Say.
Say.
Shun. Say.
Shun.
Conversation. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes I'll say it backwards. Sometimes it's easier that way. But conversation. You got to say you got to learn to say each syllable separately. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Try that again.
Yeah. Conversation.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Yeah. You got that ver. You got to say that ver. Say ver.
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 Convert.
You're dropping your R. Can you try to say go
Convert.
Go
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going work like that. Yeah, that's what's happening here. You're saying conversation. It's v. Do the v.
Yeah.
Ver.
Conversation.
Yeah, you're kind of swallowing your R. You say you're swallowing your R. You got to make it come out. Conversation.
Conversation.
Okay,
yeah,
we got to work on that. Let's say that conversation. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Mike, next we have Shailesh Patel from your Atlanta.
Shailesh Patel. Okay. My dad is Dr. Patel. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So think about me with English. So I'm in the US for last 20 years.
Okay. Are you a lawyer?
I'm an engineer who is working in accounting now. So
okay.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. So regarding my education, so all the high school was in native language. And I went to engineering school for 6 years, which
wait. You went to what school for 6 years?
The engineering school. So English was the medium.
Engineering school.
I'm sorry.
Engineering
school, which was the English medium.
Okay.
And the thing I struggle with when the conversation English. So when I go to networking event for the company.
Wait. When the conversation is in English, I think you missed the in there. So when the conversation is in English.
When the conversation is in English.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I find trouble with the other person there is the thick accent. So what I see because of my thick accent, so sometimes I cannot convey my properly.
You can't convey your thoughts properly. Yeah.
Correct. And the other thing is like I try to translate in back of my mind to phrase the sentence. So that's the two things I struggle with.
Yeah, and it kind of comes out. What is your native language?
Native is Gujarati. It's state of Gujarat.
Okay. So don't they have like about 20 or 30 languages in India?
Yeah, 20 plus, yeah.
Over 20 languages. Yeah. Urdu and Hindi and a few others. Yeah. Okay. And if you try translating, sometimes you're thinking in your language that you mentioned, and then you try to put that into English and say the words, and they kind of come around because it doesn't translate exactly. So, yeah, and it just takes a lot of practice. But you've been here for 20 years, though. So,
Correct.
like I was telling that person before you, just learn to speak slowly and distinctly. Just that is it's and if it takes a little bit longer, that's okay. They understand you. So that's
right.
And try. I guess in your language they drop the R, and that makes it kind of like you're swallowing the R. That's what I called it. So try to practice going Do that for me.
Or.
No, you did. So.
Or.
No, you're that's how they say it in Scotland. But just it goes in the back of the it goes in the back of the throat, right in the middle of your mouth. It comes this R sound. Sorry,
Or.
It's
Or.
Say bird.
Bird.
Yeah, it's you got to practice saying that sound, because that's what that right there is what makes it kind of hard for me to understand. So you have to practice that sound.
Thank you.
But you're trying, and that you're working hard on it. So I can.
Yeah, I do. But another bad part is the majority client we deal with. That's also
wait. I'm sorry. Say that again. What you just said.
The majority client I deal with, so they are also like my first native language. So occasionally we just talk in native language and not as much in English.
Okay, so you're speaking to the client in your native language.
Yeah, that happens quite often.
Okay, yeah, because you get clients come in who are Indian also, and are you in the Houston office also?
I'm in Atlanta.
No, you're the one who's in Atlanta. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, do you have kids in Atlanta?
Yes.
And how are they?
Your daughter and son. Daughter is 31 and son is 27.
Okay, so they're all grown up. So and they probably grew up at home speaking the Indian language.
Yeah, they were like 9 and 5 when they came, and their primary school was in English.
Sure.
So kids, yeah, they picked up well.
So do they have problems with the English?
No.
No, so they just they're like native.
Yeah,
speakers.
they have a problem with my version of English.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So, all right, but try to work on that R sound, that sound.
Shailesh, from the list of people on the call, can you pick the next person that should talk to Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the privilege of somebody who talks. They get to pick the next person.
Okay. Who's next?
Yeah, sure. I'll pick somebody. Francisca.
Okay. Francisca.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hi. Are you Spanish?
No, I'm Filipino.
Filipino. Okay. All right. So let's see. They speak
Tagalog.
Tagalog. Yeah. Okay. And how long have you been here from the Philippines?
I've been here for I think 9 years, 9 to 10 years. Yeah.
Okay. You seem to have very good English. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you struggle with English?
I think I struggle with grammar. Yeah, so basically grammar and sometimes pronunciation also.
Yeah. So what is a typical problem you would have with grammar?
I think same with other people. They mentioned earlier in, on, from, to, just basic grammar. But
so
I think
you say from when you mean to, and that. And
but
so
mainly in, on, at. Those.
In, on, and at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in my hand, out of my hand, On my hand. Yeah, and you just have to kind of remember.
Yeah, I use Grammarly, so it corrects
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Okay. But you seem like you have very good grammar right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there's one sentence: the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy white dog. And that sentence has all the letters in the English alphabet. If you practice saying that the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy white dog. When you learn to type, kids learn to type, we learn to type that sentence. Okay, so it's just kind of getting those pronouns twisted around. So instead, I went. So you would say, "I went from the store." You mean I went to the store?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just okay. All right. Just I don't know how to trick to remember. It's just practice. I get just learn to say. But
Thank you.
don't don't be afraid to ask people to correct you, because that's how you learn,
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, very nice to meet you. Yeah, sure. Somebody else?
Francesca, next person.
I'll call my mom, Marietta.
Oh, your mom works there. Okay, Marietta.
Hi.
Hi. And so
How
you're
are
from the
you?
Philippines too, I guess.
Yes, I am.
All right. And Marietta?
Hello.
Yeah. So that's your name is okay.
Marietta. Yeah.
Marietta. Okay. The town I live in is called Marietta, Georgia. It's a suburb of Atlanta. So, Marietta, what do you struggle with English?
Just like my daughter, I usually struggle with the preposition.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my main
To
problem.
and from.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I went from the store. You meant to see. I went to the store.
Right.
Yeah. To and from. To and from.
Right.
On. In. Out. So that's when I was teaching a class, we would have these. When I was teaching Chinese kids, we would show a picture of a box, and the cat is in the box. And it shows a cat sitting in a box.
Okay.
Cat is next to the box. So that's that just kind of takes practice, and you have to kind of in your mind think of a picture, of go to the store, come back from the store. Oh, all right. Okay. So you've been here, how long did your daughter say you've been here? Since you're 20 years, I guess?
14 years.
14 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You've got very good English. How about some of the lawyers? Do they have any of the lawyers that struggle with the
lawyers?
Marietta, can you pick somebody?
Doris, are you there?
Doris.
Oh, she's not here.
Doris not here?
Let me check. Amin?
Amin? Okay.
Yeah.
Amin.
Min. Hi, Mike.
Min.
How are you?
Hi. How are you? Min, is it?
Min, yes.
Min. Min, where are you from?
I'm Vietnamese.
Vietnamese. Okay. All right. And how long? Okay, Min, like M-I-N-H, right?
That's perfect. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you sound like you have very good English. How long have you lived here?
Pretty much all my life. I went to school here.
Yeah. Okay. So you came as a small child, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. So do you still struggle with English?
Yes, of course.
Oh, really?
I struggle with verb tenses.
Yeah. Like how?
Because we don't have that in Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Single, plural, subject verb agreement.
Okay. Yeah, I think Chinese is like that too. Oh. Okay. So and yeah, that makes English hard to learn. so you're not alone, and it's, I mean, that you're speaking as well as you do says a lot. So tell me a typical kind of mistake, Min, that you would make.
It's mostly reflected in my writing. So subject-verb agreement. But when speaking or having a conversation, most people don't notice.
Yeah. Okay. So what would be tell me a typical kind of mistake that you would make speaking.
I'm trying to think. They are, or he is, are and is interchangeable.
Yeah. So you can't say he is, or you can't say he are, or they is.
Right.
You have to say they are, and he is, and they are, she is, we are. Yeah, and okay, so that's what you kind of have to struggle with, I guess. And again, you just have to practice it, because the problem one of the problems with learning English is there's so many exceptions to the rule. So you don't have, like Chinese is probably easier to learn just because you don't have, or Vietnamese, same idea, is because they don't have all these exceptions to the rule. So you just have to practice it. So yeah, but it sounds like you're doing real well already.
Thank you. It's a lot easier talking because we have a lot of conversation, but it's more difficult writing. And I know this is a how to speak better course.
Yeah. Well, it goes, but fortunately we have spell check. So, all right. And what do you do at Chug?
I'm a lawyer here. I do civil litigation.
You're an attorney. Okay.
Yes.
And where did you go to law school?
Southwestern.
Southwestern.
It's in LA.
Oh, it is. Okay. Southwestern Law School. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good. All right. And where did you do your undergrad?
I went to UC Irvine.
UC Irvine. Okay.
Yes.
And what did you?
I was a double major, biology and English. And
really?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, that's very impressive. Then you went directly to law school.
Thank you.
Did you go directly to law school?
No, I worked at a dental office first.
Oh, really? Okay.
I took some time from undergrad to law school, about 5 years.
Oh, really? Okay. And okay. So tell me about dealing with patients in the what did you do at the dental office?
It was a children's dental office. I did and it was in Nevada. I did cleaning for the kids, and I took x-rays, and I also did billing.
Okay. All right, for the patients. All right.
Right.
I'm listening for the verb tense agreement there. It sounds like you've got it down pretty well. So okay. And then after 5 years, you decided to go to law school.
Yes.
Wow. Awesome. Okay. All right. Good deal. How about somebody else?
I could pick somebody. What about Daniel? Just because he's on my screen.
Daniel. All right. Hi, Daniel.
Hello, Mike. How are you doing today?
All right. Very well. Daniel, what do you do there at Chug?
I'm a paralegal.
Okay.
Yes, I work mainly with employment-based visas and green cards. So the application process for that.
Okay. Daniel, where are you from?
So I was born and raised in San Jose, California. So this is the Santa Clara office. So basically it's a small town right outside of San Jose.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And
born and raised. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So and what was your first language then?
So I was born and raised speaking English, but I cannot say the same thing about my parents. My parents are both actually from Spanish-speaking countries. My mother is from Nicaragua and my dad is from Argentina. So I do speak Spanish.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So what did you speak at home growing up?
I spoke mostly English growing up.
No, I mean
and,
at home. At home, what did you
yeah,
speak?
yeah, at home.
Oh, you
At
spoke
home,
English
I
at
spoke
home too.
mostly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
But
all right.
so for that reason, I would say that I do speak better English than Spanish, but I've been learning Spanish quite a lot over the years. I can definitely speak it, have conversations with it. So most of my clients that I work with are from India, Ukraine, and Argentina, which, like I said, is where my dad is from. Whenever we do have the Argentinian clients and I speak with them verbally rather than through email,
Yeah.
I try to speak to them in Spanish rather than in English.
Yeah. Okay. So how about English? What struggle do you have there?
I wouldn't really say I have a whole lot of struggles in English. Maybe I guess it would be trying to choose what words come out of my mouth, basically. But other than that,
is it a vocabulary problem or?
I wouldn't say vocabulary. It's more like, okay, do I want to word something this way, or do I want to articulate in a different manner?
Right. Okay.
So Daniel, in the Santa Clara office, you obviously speak good English and all, but in the Santa Clara office, some of the other people, what do you think there could use some improvement on in writing or speaking?
I mean, I would say with the speaking, it would be the pronunciation, and then as for writing, it would be the grammar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any words of advice for grammar, Mike? Written grammar? What's the secret?
Once again, people tend to write sentences the way they think, the way they talk, and you got to remember short declarative sentences. You know, the sky is cloudy, and it looks like rain. The sky is cloudy, period, and it looks like rain, period. So try that, and you'll probably be more effective that way. And then try to remember to keep the verbs and the tenses the same all the way through a paper, because people tend to switch from the present to the past and then back to the present again. So decide at the beginning, is this, and probably if it's like a lawsuit, the person did this and then he did that, you probably want to keep everything in the past tense, but it gets really jumbled up, and it just doesn't sound right if you switch the tenses around. So decide what tense it's going to be, which would probably be the past tense, and then keep it that way. And short declarative sentences.
Okay.
That's very effective writing, is to keep it to short declarative sentences.
Good. Anyone else have any questions?
Somebody else out there?
Let Mike go. Anybody else have questions, suggestions, comments? Okay. All good. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us.
It's been my pleasure. So thank you very much, and I'm glad to come back anytime, and we can talk some more about this. It sounds like you've got a lot of people from foreign countries there.
That we do, yeah.
That's we probably do a lot of work with immigration and visas and.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for letting me drop in today, and it's been a real pleasure to meet all of you. And good luck to you. And if you have any questions, Navneet's got my email and my phone number, and I'd be glad to communicate with you. So
stop by our Atlanta office any day in Sandy Springs.
In Sandy Springs. Okay, I'll do that. All right, Moldek. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
See you
Bye-bye.
tomorrow.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mike. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.